let's just review briefly what we did yesterday. Oops, I did this last class. I forgot to change this thing right here. All right, here we go. Let's pay attention now. You have two lines right here. They don't have to be parallel lines. Okay, I drew them so that they purposely don't look parallel, because what we're doing today does not have to be parallel. All right, so now let's put some angles in here. Now, there's nothing special about me naming these angles 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, I could have used any numbers I wanted to. That's just how I numbered them yesterday, so let's number them the same way today. Let's just review a little bit because we did a few things yesterday. So I've got two lines cut by this transversal. This red line right here is the transversal. I've got these angles marked. We talked about this yesterday, but let's just do this one more time. We talked about corresponding angles. Let's do this in another color here. And I'll just write this right in here. Corresponding angles. So here are some corresponding angles. Remember, we said we have a group of 4 up here and we got a group of 4 down here. Okay, the ones that are corresponding are the ones that match up. If you look at angle 1 is kind of like in the top left-hand corner. Angle 2 is in the top right-hand, angle 3 is in the bottom left, and the 4 is in the bottom right. So if you look down here, you've got angles that are kind of in the same spot. So what's in the same spot with angle 1 down here? Angle 5. So what we're going to do is we're going to list the corresponding angles. So they could ask you, actually on the worksheet, they ask you a little bit differently. What they do is they say, what is the relationship between angle 1 and 5? So when they say, what is the relationship between angle 1 and 5, you would say, what? They are corresponding angles, okay? But this time I'm just going to say, here's the corresponding angles, excuse me, and we're going to list the corresponding angles. So 1 and 5 are corresponding. Let's keep going. What about angle 2? Angle 2 and 6, 3 and 7, and then 4 and 8. Okay, so those are your corresponding angles. Again, on the worksheet, they're going to say, what is the relationship between angle 4 and angle 8? And you have to write in what that relationship is. And so one of our relationships are corresponding angles. So that's what you would write. You would write corresponding. A lot of times I shorthand it. If you're going to shorthand it, don't go any less than this. Don't just put a C because there's another word that starts with C. Right? But put corresponding, C-O-R-R, period. That's good enough. Corresponding, and then put angles. And I like to shorthand the angles, put the little symbol there. It's just a little easier than writing the word angle. All right, so if it says name or what is the relationship between angle 4 and angle 8, the relationship is how do they relate to each other? They're corresponding angles, and that's what you would say. All right, make sense? That's the kind of questions they're going to ask. Then I believe we hit alternate interior yesterday, didn't we? Because we talked about the interior angles. Let's just do this. Let's just list the interior angles. Again, this is probably in your notes if you took notes on it yesterday. So let's just list the angles that are interior, in between the two lines. John, give me the interior angles. Good, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So let's list those. Angle 3, angle 4, angle 5. Oops, forgot the 5. Angle 5 and angle 6. Now when I ask you to list angles, if there is a situation, if there's a time where it says to list certain angles, don't just put the numbers 3, 4, 5, and 6. Put the little angle symbol in front of it. If I ask for a line, put the line symbol over top of it. If I ask for an angle, put the angle symbol. If I ask for a line segment, put the line segment. All right? So that's how you should do that with everything that we do. So if I ask for the interior angles, it's angle 3, angle 4, angle 5, angle 6. Okay, so those are the interior. What's the other type? The exterior. Okay, so you have exterior angles. So we're just talking about the angles that are on the outside of the two white lines. So these are all inside, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Which ones are outside the two white lines? 1, 2, what else? 7 and 8. So let's list those. So angle 1, angle 2, angle 7, and angle 8. So those are my exterior angles. But we talked a little bit more specific. They could possibly ask you to list the interior and the exterior, but more specifically, they're going to ask you to label this. And let's do this in a different colors. All right, so they're going to ask for the alternate. Do you remember that? I think we hit this yesterday, didn't we? The alternate interior, I'll just shorten interior, angles. The alternate interior angles. So first of all, we're talking about interior angles. Just the angles that are inside the two lines. So I'm talking about 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now, which ones are alternate? The alternate ones are the ones that are completely opposite of each other. So let's take a look at 3. Which one's completely opposite of angle 3? Angle 6. Because look, it's on the other side of the transversal, but it's down here in this other group, isn't it? They're complete opposites of each other. So 3 and 6 are alternate interior angles. And again, what are they going to do on the worksheet? They're not going to say list all the alternate interior angles. What are they going to do? They're going to say what is the what? What's the word that I said? What is the, starts with R? Relationship, right. They ask that a lot. What is the relationship, okay, between angle 3 and angle 6? And you would say they are what? Alternate interior angles. Okay, that's what they're going to do on the worksheet. I'm just listing them right now. But on the worksheet, you're going to have to know that word, alternate interior angles. You got that? So make sure you know these words. Make sure you know the word corresponding. Make sure you know the words, alternate interior angles. So 3 and 6. So those aren't my only ones. What else? 4 and 5. Good. Angle 4 and angle 5. Make sense? Because they're interior angles and they're alternate. They're complete opposites of each other. 3 and 6 are complete opposites. 4 and 5 are complete opposites, and they're interior angles. Did we stop there yesterday, or did we do alternate exterior yesterday? We didn't? Okay, there are, I'll keep this in blue. There is another one called alternate exterior angles. So we talked about which ones are exterior angles. Let's now talk about which ones are alternate exterior angles. Let's push that up a little bit. So my exterior angles are 1, 2, 7, and 8. So which ones are complete opposites? Let's just start with one of them. Let's just take angle 1. Which one's completely opposite angle 1? Angle 8 is, isn't it? And they're exterior angles. Notice it says exterior angles. So 1 and 8 are exterior angles, and they're complete opposite of each other. So I could say angle 1 and angle 8. I got another pair. What would be my other pair? 2 and 7. Very good. All right, so angle 2 and 7 are alternate exterior, 1 and 8 are alternate exterior. We're really not doing any math today at all. We're not doing any numbers or anything like that. All we're doing is learning the names of these things, okay? It's like vocabulary for geometry, all right? That's basically all it is right now. So I got 3 different types so far. I've got corresponding, alternate interior, alternate exterior, and I've got one more. Let's do that in a different color too so that it stands out a little bit. And these are called, actually, look at the relationship between 4 and 6. Do you see that? 4 and 6. They are they're on the same side of the transversal now, aren't they? But they're also what kind of angles? 4 and 6. They're in between the two white lines, so they're interior, right? They're interior angles, but they're on the same side of the transversal. Now I'm going to show you 2 ways to word this, to name this, because I like the first one better, but this book uses a different name. Here's what I say. They're on the same side of the transversal, and they're interior angles. So a lot of times I would call them same side interior angles. Okay, same side interior angles. Or I could call them something else. Now this book calls these angles a different word. I used to teach out of a book for years at my other school, and they, in that book, called them same side interior angles. That was the official name in the book for them, same side interior angles. This book changes it a little bit, and they call these consecutive. So write that down, consecutive interior angles. All right, so the only reason that I said I even put that word same side interior in there is so that you look at it and you recognize what they are. Look at 4 and 6. They're on the same side of the transversal, aren't they? They're both on the right side. What else do you think would be a same side interior angle? 3 and 5, right, because 3 and 5 are on the same side. They're on both on the left side of that transversal, and they're interior. So I kind of like same side interior angles better, but the book uses the word consecutive interior angles. So we need to use the word that the book is using, because when we give you a question on a worksheet or a quiz or a test, it's going to say, name the consecutive interior angles. And you need to know what that means. Does that make sense? All right, so even though I like same side interior, I like that way that we word it, the book uses consecutive, so we're going to stick with that one. So let's not say same side interior, let's say consecutive interior angles. So let's list those. We can list them right here. So we already said it once. So it would be what? Angle 4 and angle 6. And what are my other ones? 3 and 5. So angle 3 and angle 5. So those are my consecutive interior angles. Consecutive means one right after the other. So if I'm over here, what's the interior angle that's right after this one? It would be 6. Do you see that? So that's why we use the word consecutive interior angles. Right? I still like same side, but they use consecutive. So know these words. There's two words that start with C. So make sure you keep those straight. A big problem, even in the honors class, a big problem is people mixing it up with which ones are corresponding, which ones are consecutive. So make sure you understand that. Corresponding are the ones that match up with each other. So 1 and 5 are basically in the same spot, aren't they? 2 and 6, 3 and 7, 4 and 8, they're all in the same place. They're corresponding. Alternate means they're complete opposites. All right? And they're interior angles that are complete opposites. Alternate exterior are exterior angles right on the outside that are complete opposites of each other. And then consecutive means one right after the other. So 4 and 6, they're interior angles, and they are one right after the other. They're on the same side of the transversal. Everybody got that? So know what the words actually mean in real life. Don't just memorize these numbers. Know what the word actually means, and it helps you understand which ones these are. Okay. Now tomorrow we're going to actually be doing some stuff with some numbers. We're going to throw some numbers in here, and we're going to talk about corresponding angles. But we're not just going to talk about any old two sides. Okay. We're going to talk about two lines right here that are going to be parallel. So tomorrow we're going to go back to the parallel stuff and say these two lines right here are parallel to each other. Today they're not. But still, the same thing holds true. For instance, let's just let's draw two parallel lines. This is kind of getting ahead of ourselves a little bit, but that's all right. I'm not going to completely give it away. And let's do another color. All right, do you see that? Now those two lines, they look like they're parallel, don't they? And they are, because I copied and pasted, so they are parallel to each other. Now watch, I could put some numbers in here, couldn't I? Actually, let's do this. Let's they don't have to go in that order, 1, 2, 3, 4. They could go 1, 2. Let's just do this, just to mix it up a little bit. Is that all right? They could go like this. So here's the question. You could have a question like this on the worksheet, and I'm going to give you the worksheet in just a few minutes. But what is the relationship between angle 1 and angle 2? What would you say? What is the relationship between 1 and 2? They're corresponding angles. Very good. And that's what you would write right here. You would write corresponding angles. Pretty simple, isn't it? Yep. You just look at the angles. You got to know what that relationship is. What if I said angle 6 and 2? What would you tell me for angle 6 and angle 2? They're alternate interior angles. Good. So you would just write down alternate interior angles. And I don't mind just shortcutting it, but don't shortcut it any more than that. Don't just put AI and then angle. Put alt int, okay? Alternate interior angles. If you want to write out the whole word, feel free, but you can shortcut it a little bit like this, okay? What would be another one? Let's say 3 and 7. What about angle 3 and angle 7? Good. Alternate exterior. So this is how we shortcut it, or shorthand it. Alternate exterior angles. All right. And let's do another one. Let's say 5 and 2. Angle 5 and angle 2. What are they? That's the one that people get mixed up on the most. Consecutive interior angles. Right. And if you want to shorthand consecutive to just CONS, that's fine. Consecutive interior angles. That would be 5 and 2. And that's basically what they're asking on this worksheet for the most part. There's some stuff before about parallel lines and it's a box and which planes are parallel and all that. But for the most part, this is what they're going to ask on the worksheet. Does that make sense? Now they're going to get a little bit trickier. Let me just show you an example of what they're going to do here. They might not just have two lines cut by a transversal. You could have something like this. And now they won't be in different colors or anything, but you might see something like that. And they might put all the angles in here. They might put a whole bunch of angles in here. All right, let's just do that. Let's just put some, well, we'll keep it red. That's all right. 3, 4. Just to mix it up, let's go down here, put 5, 6, 7, 8, and then put what? 9, 10, 11, 12. Is that all right? So they could ask you the relationship between 11 and 6. What if they asked you what 11 and 6 is? What would you say? They would be alternate interior, because look at 11 and look at, now 11 and 6, because watch, 11 connects this white line and 6 connects this white line. You see it? So we're talking about these two lines right here, 11 and 6, would be alternate interior angles. What about 2 and 10? What would 2 and 10 be? Which one? I heard 3 things. They are corresponding, okay? 2 and 10 would be corresponding angles. Do you see that? Because look at that group right here, and look at this group right here. 2 and 10 are basically in the same spot, aren't they? And you could keep going with this stuff. What about 11 and 5? What would 11 and 5 be? Yeah, but we don't say same side interior. Remember, I just did that to help you remember. They're consecutive, right? Consecutive interior angles. Consecutive interior angles. What if I said 9 and 11? It's not really one of those words that we talked about today, is it? But if you just wanted to, if somebody asked you, what is the relationship between 9 and 11? What would you say about 9 and 11? They do form the same line, but give me a good geometry word. You could say they're supplementary. What would another word be? A linear pair. Good. Linear pair would be another way to say this, right? Or you could say they add up to 180, right? You could say all kinds of stuff about those, couldn't you? It's not one of those words that we learned today, but yeah, you could definitely talk about that. What about 5 and 8? What if I ask you what is the relationship between 5 and 8? This is a little bit older. Good. They're vertical angles. Good. 5 and 8 are vertical angles. And what do we know about vertical angles? They are opposite each other, but what about the measure of the angles, Sean? They're the same. They're equal to each other. So 5 and 8 are equal. All right. Now, we haven't talked about anything being equal yet, have we? We haven't said anything about any of these angles being equal to each other except for the vertical angles. But we will talk about that tomorrow, okay? Because there are a lot of these relationships that are equal, but there's also other relationships that maybe are supplementary or something like that. All right. So that's what we'll do a little bit more tomorrow. We'll use some math. We'll use some numbers. Tomorrow, but right now all we're trying to do is figure out what the names are and what the relationships are. Okay. They give you another picture. Let me just do this real quick just to kind of get you an idea what you're going to be looking at here in a second. They give you one line that's like this, another one that's kind of like that. Oops. One that looks like this, and then the one that looks kind of like that. All right, and then I'm not going to list all the angles, but they put a whole bunch of angles in here. I'll just do a couple, just to kind of get you thinking. What if I put an angle right here and right there? What would the relationship between angle 1 and angle 2 be in this particular situation? Alternate interior angles. Good. Alternate interior angles, because look at this. Angle 1 is this angle, and angle 2 is this angle, isn't it? Which line do they both hit? They both hit this one. So this line right here, we'll call it line L. That would be our what? Oh, I don't think I said that word today. I might have said it once at the beginning, but we did yesterday. It's a transversal, right? So a line that cuts those two, that would be the transversal, okay? And what are my two lines? It would be this line and this line right here, right? Okay, and so they are alternate interior angles. Now, I put those arcs there. That doesn't mean they're equal to each other. I was just showing you the angles, all right? But they're going to have a whole bunch of angles all listed in here, and you got to be able to figure out what is the relationship between them. What if I did this? What would the relationship be between angle 2 and angle 3? Or is there a relationship between 2 and 3? There's really not, because look at what two lines angle 2 is formed by. It's this one right here and this one right here. Is angle 3 formed by either one of these lines? No, it's not. So angle 3 and angle 2 really don't have anything to do with each other. All right, so there is no relationship between angle 3 and angle 2. I don't know if they ask that or not, but if they do, you just say there's no relationship between them. You okay with that? All right, I think that should be good.